knowing the critical nature that this river has to the future for the 15,000 employees that work on post. Thank you.
Have any additional comments or rebuttal?
There's no need whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay. The second question is, and this one goes to Ms. Giffords. What is your position on earmarks? What is your position on earmarks?
When the people of the 8th Congressional District sent me to Congress in 2006, I made a promise to you. That promise was that I would fight for every single dollar that you as federal taxpayers pay to bring those resources back home, back to our communities, and I have lived up to that promise. My process for federal requests, building on the work that had been done by my predecessor, is to have full disclosure. You can go onto my website and know every single request that I've made, as well as everything that's been granted. I brought over $30 million to Fort Huachuca, to Libby Army Airfield, to build some infrastructure that's critical to keep the fort going. Also proud to know the importance of the Goldwater Missile Range, because we have this corridor here that when decisions are made about whether or not closing is going to be happening in the future with DOD's budget decreasing, I want to make sure that Fort Huachuca is here for the long term. In terms of understanding that process, it's a mess. But I have voted and I've sponsored legislation to help clean up the appropriations process. In terms of the resources I've brought, in terms of having a domestic violence shelter here in Sierra Vista, when I toured one, it was deplorable. Your dollars came back to help victims that have gone through that experience. In terms of rural health, unfortunately, we don't have a level 1 trauma center here in Cochise County, but I've brought resources back to Cochise County so that we can have modern, up-to-date health care in Cochise County. I have a very transparent process. You know, it's not perfect, but my opponent, Mr. Kelly, knows that even his family's business takes earmarking dollars for his family's construction business. As long as it's transparent, I believe that your federal tax dollars need to come back home.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, you get 10 minutes to address. What is your position on earmarks?
Sure. My position on earmarks is that they're legalized bribery, and that the people of this district should not have to send their tax dollars to Pennsylvania to build Jack Martha Airport. That's not the job of this federal government, to collect a bunch of tax dollars from the states and then divvy them out in the form of favors to Congress people. There are plenty of former congressmen in prison today because of the legalized bribery system that are federal earmarks. Right now, because we have representatives who like Representative Giffords, who simply won't stand up to the corrupt system, they go along with the corrupt system, we're bankrupt as a nation. Because we just sent $800,000 overseas. Representative Giffords approved and voted for that stimulus bill to teach people how to wash themselves. We send money to districts that don't exist, to zip codes that don't exist. Over $80,000 of your taxpayer money got sent to people who were dead. That's what the federal government has done with our tax dollars. It simply doesn't aid us when we are a donor state. We only get back 98 cents of every dollar we send to the federal government to act as if we're getting something back with earmarks. We don't need earmarks. We need there to be no more earmarks in this country. That is the goal. Stop this problem.
Hold your applause till at least the end of the comments.
And as far as
thank you. You're cutting into this person's time, so please stop.
And as far as Don Kelly Construction is concerned, we are a private company. We do public bid projects, meaning the low bidder gets the project. That's how Don Kelly Construction works. We don't solicit earmarks. And if Representative Giffords' private sector experience extended beyond bankrupting her family business, she would understand it.
Ms. Giffords, you have a rebuttal, please.
Hypocrisy is saying one thing and doing another. Mr. Kelly,
Folks, we're not at a wrestling match. This is to exchange of ideas. If you want to run for office, go ahead and file and come on up. Okay, we have an empty table. Okay, so come on. Let's listen to what people have to say. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hypocrisy is saying one thing and doing another. Mr. Kelly, you just heard that earmarks are, he says, legal bribery, I think he said. Yet Mr. Kelly's family business takes earmark dollars and takes stimulus dollars. That's hypocritical. You can't rail against government spending and then turn around and bid on those contracts. That does not, it's implausible. You can sit here with a straight face and say those things. If you don't like the federal funding, then don't take it.
There's your time. Okay, the next question goes to Mr. Kelly. What does comprehensive illegal immigration reform mean to you? I'm sorry, immigration reform. You know what I'm trying to say. And what will you do to implement the reform? And when will you do it?
Comprehensive immigration reform is a word that representatives like Gabrielle Giffords use to cover up the word amnesty. That's what comprehensive immigration reform is. What it is now, it's what it always will be. We'll hear about how great the Strive Act is and the DREAM Act is, two amnesty bills that Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords supports. That's comprehensive immigration reform. Real immigration reform comes with building a double-layer border fence. We don't have it in our district because Representative Giffords needs funding. SB 1070 counts as doing something about real immigration problems. Representative Giffords opposes SB 1070. You see, we get election year tough talk out of Representative Giffords because, after all, it is October. So now we have the election year tough talk on the border. You want to know what hypocrisy is? Hypocrisy is opposing SB 1070 and posing as a border hawk. Hypocrisy is calling yourself a moderate fiscal conservative and voting for $5 trillion in spending in the last 19 months alone. Hypocrisy is claiming to care about the taxpayer and then taking a trip with your spouse to Copenhagen on the taxpayer dime, and when being asked to reimburse the taxpayer for your husband and your vacation, you write a check to us for just over $400. I don't know where that travel agency is, but Lord, can I get the number when this whole thing's over?
You still have time. It was on illegal immigration and immigration reform.
Sure. That's not the conversation. But see, the last question got on.
I was just saying you still had time if you
so, no, yeah, at the time is the reason I'm backed by the National Border Patrol Council, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Sheriff Peters, Sheriff Paul Babu, and others. If you don't really talk on the border, I believe in actually doing
Okay. All right, thank you. I wasn't trying to be flippant, I just wanted to let you know you had plenty of time.